they're using our women now. And when I say our, I just mean black women. Because I guess white women weren't effective enough on conveying the message that there really is no such thing as a woman. Which is ironic. Because you don't have black men going up in front of Congress and having hearings, lecturing other men about women not being important. Because that's essentially what they're saying. When you say there's a person with the capacity for pregnancy, or whatever the term is now, birthing persons.
I am committed to doing the absolute most to protect black mothers, to protect black babies, to protect black birthing people, and to save lives. Thank you, and I yield back.
It's insulting to women. So a guy saying that could lose his career. Literally, they would try to cancel him. So what do? They find a real woman, and unfortunately black women, to go up on the Hill and lecture white men on the fact that there are no women, completely missing the irony that they're using women to do that. They use somebody from the National Women of Law or some garbage like that, some organization, and it has women in the title.
Since you are the president of the National Women's Law Center, I was hoping that you could define what a woman is for us in this committee hearing.
Well, as the president of the National Women's Law Center, you can imagine I say woman a lot in my day job.
Okay, so I'm just asking for the definition.
So what I'll tell you is I am a woman. That's how I identify.
Okay.
But I wonder, however, if in part the reason that you're asking a question is that you're trying to suggest that people who
I am
don't
simply asking the
identify as
question,
women
and I
can't
simply
be
want an
pregnant.
answer.
And so I think it's actually really important to be very clear here that there are people who identify as non-binary. I think about 5% of young
We're not going to go there. I was hoping maybe you would. I was hoping that maybe you would say something that maybe we learned in high school biology that has to do with X and Y chromosomes, but which define male and female. But I guess we're not going to get there.
So of course he asked the question that I've been asking since the Supreme Court Justice. What about? I'm not a biologist. I think that's her name. Yeah, Supreme Court Justice, I'm not a biologist. When they went and asked her, hey, what is a woman?
Do you agree with Justice Ginsburg that there are physical differences between men and women that are enduring?
Senator, respectfully, I am not familiar with that particular quote or case, so it's hard for me to comment as to whether
all right. I'd love to get your opinion on that, and you can submit that. Do you interpret Justice Ginsburg's meaning of men and women as male and female?
Again, because I don't know the case, I don't know how I interpret it. I need to read the whole thing.
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition? No.
Yeah.
I can't.
You can't?
Not in this context.
So
I'm not a biologist.
The meaning of the word woman is so unclear and controversial that you can't give me a definition?
A lot of people watching that thought it was an insult to her, or thought that it was a joke, or thought that it was stupid that it was being asked. Now you see why it was being asked back then. Because women know who they are, know what they are, and know that they're different from men. They're just afraid to say it, some of them. A lot of women will just outright say, yeah, I don't know about that nonsense. But men who want to be women are using real women to say that they're not real women. And this is progress. This is progressiveness. I find it interesting that there are women voluntarily doing that, because all they're doing is turning more power over to men that they say are an evil patriarchy. Meaning the head and, you know, head of the household, whether it be head at work, whether it be head in society. They say this is an evil patriarchy. And then they go and do their bidding by saying, yeah, women aren't important. You guys can play our sports and destroy all of our records and take away our scholarships and all these things that women have fought for the last half century are now being told to us that it's not important because there's really not a difference between men and women. What were they fighting for? When they fought for the right to vote, what were they fighting for? If anybody could vote, they could have just went and did it, right? All they had to do is say, well, I'm a man, so I can vote. If it were that simple, why didn't they do it? So now you have these broken men who want to be women, but they can't just go right out and tell Congress, hey, I think you're transphobic if you don't accept me as a woman. So what they end up doing is they convince some broken black woman.
Professor Bridges, you said several times, you've used a phrase, I want to make sure I understand what you mean by it. You've referred to people with a capacity for pregnancy. Would that be women?
Many women, cis women, have the capacity for pregnancy. Many cis women do not have the capacity for pregnancy. There are also trans men who are capable of pregnancy, as well as non-binary people who are capable of pregnancy.
So this isn't really a women's rights issue.
We can recognize that this impacts women while also recognizing that it impacts other groups. Those things are not mutually exclusive, Senator Hawley.
Oh, so your view is that the core of this right then is about what?
So I want to recognize that your line of questioning is transphobic, and it opens up trans people to violence by not recognizing that.
Wow, you're saying that I'm opening up people to violence by asking whether or not women are the folks who can have pregnancies?
So I want to note that 1 out of 5 transgender persons have attempted suicide. So I think it's important
because of my line of questioning? So we can't talk about it?
Because denying that trans people exist and pretending not to know that they exist.
I'm denying that trans people exist by asking you if you're talking about women having pregnancies?
Do you believe that men can get pregnant?
No, I don't think women can get pregnant.
So you are denying that trans people exist?
And that leads to violence? Is this how you run your classroom? Are students allowed to question you?
Absolutely.
Or are they also treated like this? Where
No,
they're told that they're opening up people to violence?
We have a good time in my class. You should join.
Oh, I bet.
You might learn a lot.
Wow, I would learn a lot. I've learned a lot just in this exchange.
Absolutely.
Extraordinary.
They don't understand that they're broken, so they go into these careers, and they're very successful, independent women, and they don't have a man in their house. They don't want a man in their house, but they're doing the bidding of other men who think that it's okay to be women and get in their locker rooms with them and go to prison with them. And they don't understand the cycle here. They don't understand the cycle. They're lobbying for men to be women. And then they're lecturing men about how they can't control a woman or her right to choose in her body, but they can choose to have the body. That doesn't really make much sense to me. You can't tell a woman what to do with her body? Okay, well, now I'm a woman. I don't want abortion. I can have one, right? That's what they said.
What do you say a woman is?
I believe that everyone can identify for themselves.
Okay. Do you believe then that men can become pregnant and have abortions?
Yes.
So when you blur these lines, you take away your own rights and your own ability to lobby for them. And I watched this complete moron get questioned by Josh Hawley, and he just asked, like, what is a person with capacity to give birth or person with capacity to get pregnant? What is that? And she started lecturing him because that's what she's used to doing. She's had no man in her life to say, stop, you're not as smart as you think you are. She had no real mother figure in her life to say, stop, you sound stupid. She's let the schools raise her. Her entire identity are her degrees, the fact that she's black, and the fact that other people say she's important. So she clearly doesn't have that sense on her own. Because otherwise she'd be able to say, I'm a woman. I'm a strong black woman, as a matter of fact. She can't do that because she doesn't feel that. So she gets up there and she starts lecturing him, and he asks her a direct question. Hey, what does that mean? You know, this line of questioning is transphobic and offensive to binary and cis and all. She starts throwing out all these new terms that they made up. I talked about this before, the labels. They're ever changing, so they always have control over the conversation. You can't ask them a question about it, because then they just start hurling insults at you, the worst ones they could possibly think of. Oh, you're a misogynist. Well, there's no longer such thing as a misogynist, I'm telling you right now. Because how can you hate women if there aren't any women? If they're, in fact, they are just people with the capacity to give birth or to get pregnant. No such thing as misogyny anymore, I'm sorry. Thank this idiot law professor who's never actually practiced law, who decided to go up on the hill and set the women's movement back at least 30 years, if not longer. Because she said it's insulting to define a woman. Insulting to who? The 2% of people in this country who are trans? Who are we insulting? I think it's insulting to the 55, 56% that are women. But no, they're represented fine. Even though we can't define them, they're represented fine. So we're gonna cast aspersions on all the real women out there, because that's what it is, for the sake of the 2-3% that are actually trans. I guess that's what we're doing now. We're gonna overrepresent a minority and declare that the majority and say henceforth this is how we shall refer to these things, because they're not people, they're not women, they're not men, there's no such thing. It's a construct, idiots. Of course it's not a construct. It's biology. I heard Matt Walsh say this. Long after 100 years, you can dig up the bones of somebody and you can tell what they were. Not what they said they were, because we won't be able to do that. You can look at the bones, you can look at the structure, the anatomy, and you'll know exactly what they were, regardless of what they said they were. If they said they were a buffalo, no, this was a male.
Well, this is one of the problems with this left-wing gender ideology, is that no one who espouses it can even tell you what these words mean. It's like, what is a woman? Well, can you tell me what a woman is?
No, I can't. Because it's not for me to say. Womanhood looks different for everybody.
What do you define a woman as?
An adult human female.
And what does a female mean?
Well, that's
how do you define a female?
Someone with female reproductive organs.
Okay.
Someone who's, here's the thing, when you're female, it goes right down to your bones, your DNA. So that's why if someone dies, we could dig up their bones 100 years from now. We have no idea what they believed in their head, but we can tell what sex they were, because it's ingrained in every fiber of their being.
Interesting. So I'm trying to understand. Your definition is that a woman is someone who is female, you said, right?
Correct. Is a biological female.
So what happens if we have maybe someone who is female, identifies as a woman, right? Cisgender woman, right? As you just explained, but maybe doesn't have the ability to reproduce. Maybe doesn't have those organs that you're talking about that are reproductive organs.
I have answered the question. You stood up here and said trans women are women.
Yes.
Tell me what you mean. What is a woman?
Womanhood is something that, just as Ethan explained, I cannot define because I am not myself.
You used the word. So what did you mean when you said trans women are women if you don't know what it means?
Right. So here's the thing. So I do not define what a woman is because I do not identify as a woman. Womanhood is something that is an umbrella term. It includes people who...
That describes what?
People who identify as a woman.
Identify as what?
As a woman.
What is that?
was to each their own. Okay. Each woman, each man, each person is going to have a different relation with their own gender identity and define it differently. And so trans women are women too. Okay. And you want to reduce.
You won't even tell me what the word means, though. So
you
want to
reduce women. You want to reduce men down to maybe just their genetics, our genitals, our chromosomes. Right? That's what you're saying.
You want to do is what you want to do is appropriate women. You want to appropriate womanhood.
Okay.
And turn it into basically a costume that could be worn. We've got it's real funny. It's real funny. It's real funny when you're
should look like. Right. As a man, you're literally saying this is what a woman is.
Yeah. Well,
isn't that a little sexist?
Because I am willing to define it, but you won't.
It's ridiculous, is what it is. It's ridiculous, is what it is. And here's the really. I'm about to say the obvious part out loud, but that you guys don't know. Everybody knows it's ridiculous. They're just going along with it because they don't want to be told that they're hateful bigots and that there's some kind of phobe. You guys created all the phobes. We don't care about that nonsense. So when Floyd Mayweather says, "Yeah, I'm not taking a picture of what you do," you got what's with the makeup on your nail or the polish on your nails? I'm good. What he's really saying is, I don't want anything to do with this garbage that's happening in society right now, where you're gonna try to make me either a pro whatever you are or anti whatever you are, and it worked. As soon as he said, "Yeah, no, I'm good," he's a homophobe. Had he done it, they would have put a little rainbow background on a green screen and made Floyd look gay. So we're no longer in a position to say, "Yeah, I'm good. Do what you do. I don't care what you do in your household, but I'm good." Well, what do you mean by good? It's okay for a man to say, "Yeah, no, I don't rock like that. I'm good." It's okay for a woman to say, "No, I'm good. I nothing bad to say about you. I don't even know you. Do what you do. You're an adult who can consent with another adult and do whatever you want to do. That's not me. I'm good." Because in a world of basketball, we would be screaming at people, and we actually have this. "You have to be a Laker fan, otherwise you're a hater." It's the same thing. It's the same mindset. No, I'm actually a Bulls fan. "Nah, you're a hater. You're not a real Bulls." What's the last thing the Bulls did? This is exactly what these people are doing with gender. Except now there's not, 29 teams or 30 teams. There's just 2. And the other one has always been known as a condition. Anything outside of 2 has always been a condition. And it will always be considered a condition. Just no one will say it out loud because they don't want to be called a phobe of some form. I'm sorry. I'm just telling you. Most people don't care about this stuff. You guys do. And you guys care hard and extreme and loud. But nobody else cares. I know that really deeply offends you. To hear someone say, "I don't care who you are, I don't care what you claim, and I don't care what you do. It's just not me. I'm gonna be a husband, I'm gonna be a father, I'm gonna be the best one I can be. I'm gonna be the one that you should have had. Because you wouldn't be behaving the way you're behaving if you did have one." How about that? This is considered hate speech now. Not saying, "I hate this, I hate that." No. I'm saying, do what you do. I love you. I'm gonna pray for you. Oh boy, that's probably the wrong thing to say. I love you. I'm gonna pray for you. And I wish you nothing but happiness and all the fun in the world and a great life. That's hate speech now. Because what it's also saying is, I don't agree with your lifestyle. But I'm not in I'm not in an authoritative place to say you shouldn't do it or you can't do it. That's what you do. I'm not judging you in any way, shape, or form. I'm not even going to tell you that you shouldn't do it. I'm going to say, hey, all power to you. Want to go to dinner? Let's go to dinner. Want to play some pool afterwards? Let's play some pool. I don't care. I don't care enough to cast judgments on anybody. What I do care about is you casting judgments on me and calling me a phobe. I'm not a hater for not liking the Lakers and LeBron teams. I'm not a phobe for not being a fan of whatever you guys do. I just don't care enough to put any energy into it, whatever. This is the energy I'm putting into it by talking about how little I care. And I wouldn't be doing it if you guys weren't calling people like myself or myself names for not caring. Because that's a pride thing. And not the pride that you guys celebrated last month. That's a pride thing where you overestimate the importance of you. And it's never crossed your mind that other people don't care. And when they do, you get offended. How can you not care? It's me. Because you're a narcissist. And it's not good enough to live your life and be happy, because you have to then tell other people, I'm living my life happily. Acknowledge it. This isn't wrestling.
So MSG, acknowledge me. Acknowledge me. Acknowledge me. Acknowledge me.
No, I'm good. I'm not a hater. I don't care. This is the world we're living in right now, where people are going up and testifying in Congress, and they won't even, these are black women who won't even, they'll say they're black. I guarantee they'll jump out on that one. But they won't even say they're women. I identify as a woman. Really? You weren't born a woman? How were you born? Were you born of a woman? Or did a man have you? These silly little games, they're not going to last long. And I'll still be here saying, I don't care. I really don't care. There's just too many people scared to just say it. Listen, you're a narcissist. You don't need my approval. Especially if you're supposedly more evolved than me. What do you need my approval for? What do you want me to say something about it for? I don't care. I'm not going to acknowledge you. It's silly. It's silly elementary school stuff. It really is. My son thinks he's a dinosaur half the day. He's a train the other half. I'm not going to go out and buy him a giant dinosaur costume for him to claim that that's what he is. It's silly. I'm not going to get a steam engine whistle and put it around his neck so that he believes that he's a train. I'm still going to call him by his name. He's still who he is. He's just got an imagination. Like all of you.